Hello, everybody, and welcome to the ET Considers Everything podcast for Thursday, July 28th, 2016. On this edition, I'll be taking a look at several sports stories that took place over the past 24 hours and give you a recap of some of the major soccer matches that took place in the International Champions Cup, and take a look at round one of the PGA Championship so far and give you my prediction on who I believe is going to win the PGA Championship this week, and also take a look at the Women's British Open, which is taking place this week over in Scotland. So, without further ado, let's get going with this podcast. First, let's start off with some NFL news this morning. Ryan Fitzpatrick has decided to stay with the New York Jets. He has signed a one-year, $12 million contract, which is fully guaranteed. He has $3 million in incentive money, which he can earn if the New York Jets make the playoffs, make the AFC Championship game, and make the Super Bowl. This is a very big deal for the New York Jets. Now they won't have to worry about a quarterback controversy. They'll let their quarterbacks battle for the position in training camp, of course, but the favorite going into the season to have the starting job is now Ryan Fitzpatrick after signing this one-year deal yesterday. Other news yesterday in the NFL, Nick Foles was released by the LA Rams. The LA Rams were looking for trade partners for Nick Foles to try to get him away from LA because they had drafted the number one overall pick in Carson Wentz from North Dakota State. Nick Foles is now a free agent in the NFL. Sources close to the situation says that he is looking for a team that is a winner and would like to have him not only as the starter but maybe even as a backup to a proven commodity at starter. These teams that are looking at him include the Dallas Cowboys, the New Orleans Saints, and the San Francisco 49ers. Several other teams are looking at him as well. But those are the top three teams that I believe will take a look at Nick Foles and maybe give him a chance in training camp, and we'll see what he has to offer coming up, no doubt. In MLB news yesterday, we had two great games that took place between division rivals and divisional teams, divisional leaders. I'll get it right here in just a second. We had the Chicago Cubs take on the Chicago White Sox yesterday, and the Chicago Cubs defeated the Chicago White Sox by a final score of 8-1 on the strength of a grand slam by Chris Bryant. And Aroldis Chapman made his debut with the Chicago Cubs last night in front of his home fans in Chicago for the very first time. He had 13 pitches of 100 miles per hour or more, a record for a one-inning stretch, and that is very impressive for any pitcher to do that. And I give him major kudos for doing that as well. The Washington Nationals defeated the Cleveland Indians yesterday, and Steven Strasburg moved to 14-1 on the season, the best record for any pitcher in Major League Baseball. A very impressive start for the Washington Nationals, no doubt. They have 2 months to go in this season, and they look poised to win the NL East this year. They were the favorites last year and couldn't get the job done because of the New York Mets, but they will have a battle on their hands with the New York Mets. They're the reigning NL champions, and they still want a piece of the playoff pie. So we'll see what happens coming up over the next 2 months. The current division leaders are as follows. In the NL East, it's the Washington Nationals. In the NL Central, it's the Chicago Cubs. In the NL West, it's the San Francisco Giants. In the AL East, it's the Baltimore Orioles. In the AL Central, it's the Cleveland Indians. And in the AL West, it is the Texas Rangers. So a major portion of the season is still yet to come with 2 months to go. But the playoff races are already heating up. And we still have 4 days until the MLB trade deadline, which takes place on Sunday, July 31st. NBA news to report on this morning. Blake Griffin has been in reports of trade rumors and wanting out of LA. Coach Doc Rivers said that he will not trade Blake Griffin coming up during this offseason. He will more than likely try to trade him at the January trade deadline for the NBA and will look to make a move for him. but he will not trade him during the offseason. And I think that's big for Doc Rivers and Blake Griffin to kind of get on the same page and to really understand one another. It's a great move by Doc Rivers to stand up for one of his best players, and it's a great move for Blake Griffin as well, because the LA Clippers are really one of the best teams in the Western Conference. They'll have a lot to deal with this year, especially with Kevin Durant going to the Golden State Warriors. It's going to be tough for them to get out of the West, but they are one of the 4 best teams in the Western Conference. Moving on, soccer news from last night. We had 3 games in the International Champions Cup between 6 of the best teams in the world. In the first matchup, it was Real Madrid taking on PSG, Paris Saint-Germain. PSG defeated Real Madrid by a score of 3-1. We also had AC Milan taking on Bayern Munich. That game finished in a 3-3 tie after regulation. The game went to penalties after regulation, and AC Milan defeated Bayern Munich in penalties 5-3. And in the final matchup of the night, Chelsea defeated Liverpool 1-0. There's a recap of the 3 International Champions Cup games from last night. We have a lot more action from the International Champions Cup coming up, so we'll see what's going on with those teams going into the season. Those are 6 of the best teams around the world, and I look forward to seeing how all of them do, especially Bayern Munich, PSG, Real Madrid, especially after they won the Champions League last year. Bayern Munich, they won the Bundesliga title and the Deutsche Pokal, which is also known as the German Cup. So it's going to be fun to see how those teams do going into this season. Golf news this morning, we had the PGA Championship getting underway from Baltusrol. It's the 98th PGA Championship. My pick to win the PGA Championship this week is Jordan Spieth. I have 2 others that I have in mind as well. They are Ricky Fowler and Patrick Reed is my upset pick. Patrick Reed has not finished in a top 10 in a major, but I believe Baltusrol suits his game. And with 2 par 5s to close, he has a lot of great opportunities to get some birdies and eagles on those 2 holes and all the other holes around the golf course. It's going to be fun to see how the 98th PGA Championship goes this week from Baltusrol in New Jersey. Also on the LPGA, we have the Rico Women's British Open going on, and the favorites to win that are Lydia Ko and Brittany Lang and Stacey Lewis and several of those players. If I had to pick one, I would have to go with Lydia Ko. She's been the phenom of the LPGA Tour this year and really has had a great season. It's going to be fun to see how those 2 majors go for respectively for both the PGA and for the LPGA. It's going to be a fun week for those tournaments, no doubt, and I look forward to seeing how the tournaments play. Also, we have some NASCAR news to report on this morning. Jeff Gordon will stay in the number 88 car for Dale Earnhardt Jr. for this weekend's NASCAR Sprint Cup Series Pennsylvania 400 at Pocono. This will be his 2nd straight race and his 2nd race out of retirement. He has been an analyst for Fox Sports for the first half of the NASCAR season, and now he is driving the 88 car for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Dale Earnhardt Jr. says he hopes to be back in the car for next week's race at Watkins Glen, but he has to be evaluated by the doctors and has to be evaluated by team leader Rick Hendrick. So it's going to be interesting to see if he will be able to drive, but I think after 3 weeks off, I believe he'll be ready and fired up to go for this NASCAR season and the race down to the chase. He'll probably need a win to make the chase. He's lost some points in the ground because Jeff Gordon started this last race and Alex Bowman did at New Hampshire. But Dale Earnhardt Jr. has some good racetracks that suit his eye. Bristol is one, for example, that he can win at. And Richmond, he's had a good history at as well. So we'll see what comes up of that. No doubt about it. And with that, that's going to do it for this edition of the ET Considers Everything podcast for Thursday, July 28th, 2016. If y'all don't mind, like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and as always, I'll keep you posted on sports news throughout the days as I get them across my tablet. For now, this is ET. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you very much for watching and subscribing to my channel.